church and I'll go to mine, but let's walk along together. Our fathers built them side by side, so let's walk along together.
Good morning and welcome to the Manaway Center Christian Church. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. We are a community seeking to have open minds and open hearts and open arms to live and love like Jesus every day. We are worshiping in different places, but we are bound together through the power of the Holy Spirit. So let's look forward today to what God has in store for us in worship. Today is the fifth Sunday in Lent, and this season we've considered and looked at and gone deeper into several different stories of Jesus and pulled from them words that have spoken deep truths to us about what it means to follow Christ in our lives: compassion, repentance, reach, and equity. So today we consider two stories of people in the Bible where proximity to Jesus and openness to Jesus brought transformation in their lives in different ways, to very different people. So there's a lot to look at today and to listen for what God has to say. So then, let's prepare our hearts and minds for worship. Let's take a deep breath. Center ourselves in God and God's Spirit. Let's light a candle to remind us of God's sustaining love for us, the light of God's presence. Church family, together we have set this time and space aside for the worship of God. So let's give to God our joys and worries and sorrows, whatever is weighing us down. Lay them down at God's feet and open ourselves up to what God may reveal to us today through the music, through the words, through the scripture, through the silence. Let's listen, listen, listen. Let us worship the Lord.
Weave us together, weave us together in unity and love. Weave us together, weave us together, together in love.
I'm Carol Buzbee, and I'm reading Psalms 84, verses 1 to 4 and 10 to 12. How lovely is your dwelling place, O Lord Almighty! My soul yearns, even faints, for the courts of the Lord. My heart and my flesh cry out for the living God. Even the sparrow has found a home, where the swallow has a nest for herself, where she may have her young, a place near your altar. O Lord Almighty, my King and my God, blessed are those who dwell in your house. They are ever praising you. Now, verse 10. Better is one day in your courts than 1,000 elsewhere. I would rather be a doorkeeper of the house of my God than dwell in the tents of the wicked. For the Lord God is a sun and shield. The Lord bestows favor and honor. No good thing does he withhold from those whose walk is blameless. O Lord Almighty, blessed is the man who trusts in you.
Good morning, Manaway Center kids and grown-up kids. I hope you guys are all well and you had a fantastic week. Today's Lent theme is transformation, and I'm sure we all know somewhat what that means, what it means to transform. If you've ever seen the Transformer movies, you know that that's about cars who transform into big robots. But we transform in a lot of other ways, and we see transformation in a lot of different ways. One of the ways I want to give you to talk about transformation today is through H2O or water. Water transforms all the time. And I have my water bottle here with me. This is the water bottle I bring to work with me every single day. And as you can see, it is all water. It is all liquid. There's nothing in there but water, okay? But this morning before I left for work, this was filled with ice, right? I filled it up and then I put ice in. So what happened to that ice? Did it leave? Did I throw it away? What happened? Well, we know as the water warmed up and as I brought it into a warm environment, the ice melted and just transformed into water along with the rest of my water already in this bottle. Now, if I were to go home and take this exact same bottle, put it in the freezer, it would then transform again into ice and it would be hard and it would be cold, right? But let's say maybe I go home and I put a pot on the stove and I turn the heat up all the way and I dump all of this water in there, okay? After a while, all of the water would turn into steam and leave the pot. It still exists, it's still in the air, but it's transformed into steam. But it's just a different form. It's still the same stuff it was when I put it in here this morning from my sink, okay? In a lot of ways, our lives are like water. When you were born, you were a baby. Now you may be a kid or a teenager or an adult or an elderly person, but you're still made of the same stuff that you were when you were a baby. You just transformed into something that looks different, but you're still the same you. And what you are, no matter what form you're currently in, is made in the image of God and by God. Will you bow your heads in prayer and repeat after me? Dear God, thank you for making us in your image. In your name we pray. Amen. Thank you guys and have a great week.
As we enter into this conversation with the divine, I invite you to pause this video and prepare your space. Perhaps open the window to feel and smell that fresh spring air. Light a candle to feel the warmth of the divine in your home or wherever you find yourself this morning. Then find a comfortable praying position. Let your shoulders roll back away from your ear. Unclench the muscles of your jaw. Take a deep breath in and out as we go to God in prayer. God of green spring growth and rain, we see your work unfurling in front of our eyes, your divine presence obvious in this world. You're in the earth's winter womb, and we are grateful and awestruck as the cycle of life begins again for the plants that we can now spot peeking through the dirt. As you have supported them in their growth, may we feel your warmth as we too push through whatever dirt has been hindering our growth this season. May we too emerge as beautiful and new and a sign of your love in this world. Holy One, in this season and on this day, we celebrate the many connections we have with you and the communities that work as your hands to foster that growth within us. Throughout our many lifetimes, you watch us transform and continue to pronounce that we are good, and worth the love and support that you show us and we show each other. Remind us that as new days dawn, we have the opportunity and are encouraged to become the person that you are calling us to be, despite the darkness and uncertainty that surrounds such transformation. Mother of the cosmos, we often fear that the problems that seem so large to us are so small to you. Inspire in us the bravery of the blind man and Zacchaeus to seek out transformation, despite the grief or the approval of the ones who do not know us. There has been so much change over the last year, so much anguish and fear, and yet there has persisted a hope that we cannot shake. Remind us that all is not lost, and help us seek gratitude for what still remains. Reveal to us the joy that is found in simple things, in second chances, in the joy and vibrancy of life. Help us understand that our grief is a result of our deep capacity for care, and that we still hold that capacity within us. As we emerge from this season of waiting and grief, may we turn our eyes to your light, the light of all life, and the light of Jesus. In this light, may our troubles subside and appear smaller, our optimism and energy fueled by this warm, golden light. Despite the destruction around us, within us, and without us, we thank you for this light, this strength to rebuild our resources around us, sharing them with the entire kingdom and building a better world in the process. This work, the work of being your hands and feet and eyes and ears in this world, is difficult for us, divine love. We struggle to let go of the material, of the fear that there will not be enough for us, much less to share with others. Prevent this fear from freezing us in indecision. Fill us with so much light, so much courage, so much justice that we can do nothing but share our gifts with the world. Let us be a beacon that ignites your life in our loved ones, in our communities, and in our nation and in our world. Quiet and still voice of God, we invite you into our hearts to illuminate us. Where do we need to water for growth? Is there a place we are keeping from the light, afraid to let it grow? Is there a place that we ashamedly hide away, considering it unworthy of your light? Reveal to us these places of transformation in this moment of silence. As we invite your light to reveal our inner work, we lift up to the light the outer work, our fears and hopes and all the things that make us uniquely human. As we wrestle with grief and hope alike, we know that your light follows both and loves us unequivocally. In this silence, we lift before you these worries and joys and sorrows and the people dear to us who need some time in your light. Star of our hearts and keeper of our souls, may we find rest and transformation here in your light, now and forevermore. In the name of the Creator, the Redeemer, and the Holy Sustainer. Amen.
Shepherd me, O God, beyond my wants, beyond my fears, from death into life. Shepherd me, O God, beyond my wants, beyond my fears, from death into life. Shepherd me, O God, beyond my wants, beyond my fears, from death into life.
Our scripture reading this morning is from the Gospel according to Luke, chapter 18, verse 35 to chapter 19, verse 10. Listen for a word from God. As Jesus approached Jericho, a blind man was sitting by the roadside begging. When he heard a crowd going by, he asked what was happening. They told him Jesus of Nazareth is passing by. Then he shouted, "Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me." Those who were in front sternly ordered him to be quiet, but he shouted even more loudly, "Son of David, have mercy on me." Jesus stood still and ordered the man to be brought to him. And when he came near, he asked him, "What do you want me to do for you?" He said, "Lord, let me see again." Jesus said to him, "Receive your sight. Your faith has saved you." Immediately he regained his sight and followed him, glorifying God, and all the people, when they saw it, praised God. Jesus entered Jericho and was passing through it. A man was there named Zacchaeus. He was a chief tax collector and was rich. He was trying to see who Jesus was, but on account of the crowd, he could not because he was short in stature. So he ran ahead and climbed a sycamore tree to see him because he was going to pass that way. When Jesus came to the place, he looked up and said to him, "Zacchaeus, hurry and come down, for I must stay at your house today." So he hurried down and was happy to welcome him. All who saw it began to grumble and said, "He has gone to be the guest of one who is a sinner." Zacchaeus stood there and said to the Lord, "Look, half of my possessions, Lord, I will give to the poor. And if I have defrauded anyone of anything, I will pay him back 4 times as much." Then Jesus said to him, "Today salvation has come to this house, because he too is a son of Abraham. For the Son of Man came to seek out and to save the lost." God's word for God's people. Thanks be to God. Let us pray together. Gracious and loving God, may the words of my mouth and the meditations of our hearts be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, our strength and our Redeemer. Amen. Transformation. Jesus is passing by. So for as long as I can remember, I've had this recurring dream that I'm sure a lot of other people have had too. I'm walking along and feeling fairly normal, right? But all of a sudden a storm hits. Sometimes it's a thunderstorm or a tornado or a flood or some kind of emergency around me, and I see others start to run. And I go to run, but my legs feel super heavy. It's just not going to happen. It feels like I'm trudging through a couple feet of mud. I try to move, but I just can't get anywhere. Have you had that dream before? But a dream is one thing. Have you ever had that feeling in your life? Of course you have. Where you wanted to move, wanted things to be different, but you just felt stuck. I wonder today if the fellas in our scripture story felt that way. Look at them. Both of them were very different people. They're in completely opposite social and economic positions in the community. Here we have back-to-back stories, and we first have this nameless man who is blind, and by the roadside begging. He is outside of the city of Jericho. And then we have the famous wee little man Zacchaeus, who is a tax collector and a wealthy man, and is part of the community there in Jericho. So you have one who is struggling to survive day to day, unable to find a place in the world, and then the other is wealthy, but he is reviled in the community. We can tell because of his soulless dealings amongst them. He's reaping the economic benefit at their expense. And so he's in the community, but not quite part of it. So these two people are so very different in many ways, but it's also clear in the story that both want something to change. Both of them don't exactly like how things are. They want things to be different. But then Jesus came passing by. Everything changed for them. When Jesus came passing by, in both of the stories, you'll notice Jesus, it just says that he's passing by, he's passing through. And so right away we see the contrast. We have two people who are stuck and one who is moving. And so at that moment when they hear about this Jesus, something moved within these two. Something moved with them to draw nearer to Jesus. And when they do, something happens. Now, in all of our lives, we've felt stuck in different ways. We've felt stuck and stagnant. It's a universal and generally unpleasant experience, right? I was moved recently when I read this anonymous passage from a writer. They said, I was neurotic for years, anxious, depressed, selfish, and everyone kept telling me to change, and I resented them and agreed with them and wanted to change, but simply couldn't, no matter how hard I tried. What hurt the most was that, like the others, my closest friends kept urging me to change. So I felt powerless and trapped. It's a powerful passage speaking to a depth within all of us. Maybe have felt that way before. Powerless, trapped, stuck within ourselves emotionally and mentally. We can also feel stuck in different ways. We can feel stuck because of a physical condition. Sometimes we may not even know we are fixed in the mud until something happens that makes us realize it. We can feel trapped in social situations, in a relationship or a friendship, in a job, stuck in a sense of purpose or calling, just not sure who we are and what we're supposed to do. We can feel stuck because of money or the lack thereof. And didn't we found out in 2020 we can feel trapped because of a pandemic. It just stopped everything in its tracks. But it's not just us as individuals. We can feel stuck as a church too, stuck and stagnated in the ways that we always do things, utterly resistant to change sometimes because we love our traditions, and they're awesome, but we can also get bogged down in them. We get bogged down in traditions that no longer speak, habits that reflect personal desires rather than God's holiness. We can get caught doing the same things over and over again and expecting different results. We can stop in our tracks and just forget who we are. Meanwhile, Jesus is passing by. What I love about this story today is that, it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter your background, your economics, your religion, none of the things that separate us. We see the chasm between these two today as an example in the story. All of us can feel stuck in some way, looking for change. And meanwhile, Jesus is passing by. And as Jesus is passing by, we see in the story he doesn't really force himself upon anyone. At least first he does say, hey, Zacchaeus, I'm going to come to your house later. But there's something that happened that caused the people to move, to seek out the Christ and say, I want something to be different. And so when Jesus passes by, there is an invitation to something different. And I don't know what that's going to look like for any of us exactly. And I know it doesn't mean that nothing bad is going to happen to us or that all of a sudden we're going to be unstuck and stay unstuck forever. What I do know is that when people respond to Jesus, when we see in the story seeking after him, transformation happens. Transformation happens. For the blind man, it was to be able to see again. I once was lost, but now I'm found. I was blind, but now I see. It's not just a physical manifestation of the Spirit, but something deeper as well, to see the world in a different way. And with Zacchaeus, his whole life transformed. Once he'd said, okay, Jesus, I want to be like you, he could no longer do what he was doing. He had to make things right in his community. He had to pay back who he defrauded. He had to change how he would interact with the people. Jesus comes into our life inviting transformation, because when Jesus is around, things move, things happen. My friends in Christ, this whole Lenten season, we are looking for ways to live the resurrection. We are thinking about compassion and repentance and reach and equity. But there's so many things that Jesus calls us to take in our toolbox as we live our lives in his name. But all of it's held together in this transformational relationship, that we are changed because of our relationship with God through Jesus Christ. And so what I hope for you as we now go into Holy Week is that you might, wherever you're stuck in, look up and watch for Jesus passing by, because he's passing by in Manaway and Hiram and Chagrin Falls and Portage County. In the world, Jesus is moving. So I just pray that we might look up and see where he is and follow him wherever he goes, trusting that he'll always be by our side. And he loves us right where we are, yet calling us to transformation in our mind, body, and spirit, to love God and love our neighbor with all that we are. May it be so. Amen.
Please pray with me the Serenity Prayer that was written by Reynold Niebuhr. Let us pray together. God, give me grace to accept with serenity the things that cannot be changed, courage to change the things which should be changed, and the wisdom to distinguish the one from the other. Living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardship as a pathway to peace, taking, as Jesus did, this sinful world as it is, not as I would have it, trusting that you will make all things right if I surrender to your will, so that I may be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy with you forever in the next. Amen.
The potter digs and finds the clay, a mix of soil, mud, and decay, then purifies it and refines, and makes the little flakes align. O Potter God, take me and use me for whatever shape you choose. And can it be that I, the clay, should ask the potter to explain why my appearance is so bland when other vessels seem so grand? O Potter God, help me to find the beauty deep in my design. Our clay, we fear, is dry and cracked, or wet and sloppy, gray or black. Perhaps we're calcified and hard, or shattered into tiny shards. Our Potter God can make us new. God says I can work with that too. We these treasures from our birth in vessels made of clay, of earth. Adam from Adam amaze, humanity from dust you raised. O Potter God, will not forget that you're not finished with us yet.
Good morning. The Apostle Paul says in the letter to the Romans, chapter 12, verse 2, "Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your minds, so that you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect." This table is a place of transformation. When we gather as a community, we are a part of the endless grace and love of God. Now, transformation isn't easy. Anyone who's ever been on a diet knows that. But when we come to the table as seekers and as a community of seekers, we move toward leaving our conformation to the world and entering into the power of transformation by the Spirit. We seek change and growth, harmony and an expansion of our circle of love. And when we leave the table, we go out in the world to spread that transformation as we work to create God's kingdom here on earth. Let us pray. O perfect love, O source of change and renewal, we ask that you live in us, that you transform us into the perfectly human beings that you designed. Help us to leave behind the enticements of the world. Transform us into the loving heart that we find at this table. And now please join me as we pray together the prayer that Jesus, our sibling and our example, gave us. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen.
And we recall as we gather around the Lord's table that on the night of Jesus' betrayal and arrest, as he shared a meal with his friends, Jesus took bread, gave thanks, and broke it. He passed it among his followers, saying, "Share this bread among you. This is my body, which will be broken for justice. Do this to remember me." When supper was over, he took the cup, gave thanks, passed it to his disciples, saying, "Share this wine among you. This is my blood, which will be shed for liberation. Do this to remember me." When we eat this bread and drink this cup, we experience again the presence of Jesus in our midst. The table is ready, my friends. All are welcome. Come, for the feast is spread, and all means all. Thank you so much for joining us here this week at Manaway Center for Worship. You could have chosen to walk this Lenten road with anyone else, and we are blessed to join you as you join us on this journey. Do not forget that when this premiere ends, the party and discussion begin over in the fellowship Zoom room. Maybe you have thoughts on the service, or are just ready to see some more smiling faces. If so, this is the spot for you. Check your email for a message from Pastor Chad for how to join, and we'll see you there real soon. All right, church, as we join together in our benediction, I invite you to take a deep breath in and just feel the spring air filling your lungs. This is a season of transformation. You can heal. Christ has touched you. You can love. Christ has sought you. You can give yourself away. Christ has come walking and called you. You can break the barriers from which others suffer. Christ has visited your house. Christ is in you and around you. Christ will set you free. May the light of God and the life of Jesus guide our steps this week. May we find courage to follow the call. May it be so, church. Amen.
Thank you.